Hey everybody, this is Stacy Rossetti. Hi, I teach people how to get started in self-storage investing. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over one of the facilities that I own and kind of just give you an insight into like what we look at. Also, the facilities that I'm doing for these case studies, these are all for sale. Okay, so if you want to go to American SS MGT, AmericanSSMGT.com/for sale. I'll share it. I'll share that with you right now. You can see these facilities and you can ask for access to them, and you can take a look. Everything that I'm showing you can look at it. Okay, you can also get on our email list if you're interested. If you go to this website, you can get on our email list. So right here, it's AmericanSSMGT.com/for sale. And this is all the facilities that we're trying to sell. We want to sell them and roll that money into like bigger facilities, or most likely we will partner with our students. So that's what I do. Is I own StorageNerds. StorageNerds is where you can learn how to get started in self-storage investing. And we have what's called the Academy, which is an online education platform where you can basically learn. It takes you on this roadmap on how to get started in self-storage investing, how to understand how to run commercial bill analysis and like markets and things like this. And then also you get to come to the live group coaching calls. And if you're an owner, you get to come to the owner mastermind. So that is what the Academy is. We also have what's called acquisitions, and acquisitions is where you're just like, look, I've tried for a year. I can't find a property. Will you find a property for me? So you can hire my team to find you a property to buy. And that is called acquisitions. You can apply here for that as well. So go to StorageNerds.com to learn more about me. You can also go to StacyRossetti.com to learn about me. I have a book right here. If you go to Find, Fund, Run. All right, but it's called Find Them, Fund Them, Run Them. That's my 3-step process on getting started in self-storage investing. So if you only have 10 or 15 bucks right now, then get the book. All right, just get the book. And then if you have $100 a month, if you can afford that, that's what the Academy costs. It's around $100 a month, and then acquisitions is going to be like, it's more expensive, So, but if that's what I do, I teach people how to get started in self-storage investing. Now, I have these properties for sale. These are all the very first properties that I bought, and I want to sell. They are all pretty much stabilized. I would say they're 80% occupied or better. They've all been, painted or cleaned up. The latches have all been, fixed. The doors have all been fixed. Everything looks beautiful. There's no issues. We have good tenants, good income. And then you can basically, on these facilities here, you can increase the occupancy and increase the rates is what you can do. Okay. So we have stabilized these properties. This has taken us anywhere from 2 to 5 years to stabilize these properties, depending on like what type of properties that we buy. So we personally, me and my husband, we buy like really severely mismanaged facilities. Like we've bought fire facilities, they've caught on fire. We've bought abandoned facilities. So we buy all the ones that like really nobody wants to do they think they want to do all the work for, but they don't really want to do all the work for. Those facilities take anywhere from 2 to 5 years to stabilize. Those are these properties here. And now they're working great. They're getting income. They're rocking and rolling. And then we left a little bit of room on the back end so you can make some money, get some cash flow, things like that. Okay, so I want to make sure that you guys know that this website is here. It's AmericanSSMGT.com/for sale. So AmericanSSMGT.com/for sale. And then what you do is you come to this website and then you look at it. You say, and these I only have properties, Georgia, Florida, and the Southeast is where our properties are. So that's, if you want to buy something here, then that's where you'd be able to find something. And these are all properties that are around like maybe 500 grand or something like that. So they're not like super big, huge properties. And so then you would just come here and you can just ask for more info by clicking on the button, and then you will get access to the folder. Okay, and I'm going to go over the folder today and show you kind of what's inside of it. Okay, so I just want you to know that you will, it'll say, do you want to get access to this? And then I'll prove you. Okay, is how it works. And then you can also see that this person here, his name is Kavi, he has already pre-approved these facilities. So what that means is I have already given him my 22, 23, 24, and 25 tax returns. I've already given him my 22, 23, 24, 25 P&Ls. Right, he's got all the information, everything that he needs in order to pre-approve the property, because commercial real estate is asset-based lending. Okay, this lender, like Kavi, he's an asset-based lender. So when you go and talk to a lender, what that means is that they look at you, but not really, honestly. They look at the property, they look at the business. How profitable is that business? And so they're going to ask you, if you ever, like, you want to sell your properties, do you have your tax returns? Do you have your P&Ls? And so that's exactly what happens, is that I sent all those over to Kavi for all the properties here, and he has pre-approved them. Okay. So, and then he tells me what number he would lend on for an SBA loan. Okay. So SBA basically is a government-backed loan, and they will lend at either 10 to 15% down, depending on you. If you don't have any experience, 15% down. If you have experience, 10% down. Okay, so he's given me that number. So you can see here, 428, based on my tax returns, based on my P&Ls, he has approved this number right here. Okay, and so that's kind of how it works. We are going to talk today about the Fayetteville location. I do have this one under contract, and hopefully they close on it, but you just never know, right? You just never know if something's actually going to close, especially in this day and age. It's up and down, right and left. So you just always have to have an open mind that you get things under contract, and sometimes it doesn't work out. So far it's looking good, but who knows, right? But I wanted to show you, these are the types of property. You can see 412, 454. This one is kind of a bigger property, actually. This one's $1 million. This one right here is a little tiny facility. This is one of our very first facilities that we bought in Warm Springs, Georgia. And, I've gone over those on my case study, my previous case study. So you can go back into my YouTube channel and you can look through all the case studies. You could watch them too as well, if you want to get more insight into those deals. And then if you're interested in any one of those deals, all you do is just ask for information and you get access to the folder. Okay. This is what you're going to get access to. So right now I'm in the Fayetteville location folder. Now this folder here, what this is everything that you need in order to decide or determine if it's a good deal or if it's a deal that you want to move forward on. Okay. This is exactly all the same stuff that the Kavi needs, that any lender needs. Okay. So I've just closed a ridiculous amount of transactions. So I just know what lenders need. So for me, I'm just being super proactive. I want to sell these facilities. So that means that I put everything together that a lender is going to need, because I don't want to be that seller that's takes 2, 3, 4 weeks just to put something together. So all my P&Ls, you can see here, the P&Ls are here, the general ledgers, and I just pull these now the P&L obviously comes from QuickBooks. Right. So I'm sitting there on a quarterly basis and making sure it's actually on a monthly basis, but I'm sitting there on a monthly basis and just making sure that, my banks are reconciled and that all my expenses and everything that goes into each month is put into the right chart of accounts in QuickBooks. And the reason I bring that up is because I'm going to tell you 80% of owners of businesses do not reconcile their business on a monthly basis. So this is what we do on a monthly basis. We reconcile our business, and then we get a P&L every single month, and we look at the P&L to make sure that our expenses, are either the same or decreasing, and then our income is either the same or increasing, right? Not decreasing, right? So we're kind of looking at our P&L to do that. I'm going to show you the P&L today, so you can kind of get an idea of what a P&L looks like, all right? But really, when you buy a storage facility, you are buying a business. That's what you're buying. Okay, so you need to be able to understand income and expenses. And as a business owner, your job is to increase income and decrease expenses. And this is what the lenders want to see, right? So that's why I'm saying this is what the lenders want to look at. And utilities are here. And then the general ledger comes from our property management software. We use StorageNerds. If anybody's wondering, StorageNerds is a property management software that you can pay to like manage your storage facilities. And there's about 10 of them out there. We use StorageNerds is what we do. Okay, so we pulled the report for the general ledger. We pulled the report for the occupancy report, the rent roll. We have the facility features. So you can see like what we offer at this facility. Is it gated or not gated or whatever it is. Unit mix is listed here. The management summary shows you like what the income is on a monthly basis, and then it compares it to this time last year, and then also shows you what your rent is making or what your fees are making, all kinds of stuff. I'll show you. I can show you that too. Regrid is your property report card. Okay, so that's like, it's just public data. Regrid is a site where you can go on and get your public data on your property. What is the taxes that they're paying? What was the last purchase price? How big is it? What are your borders? All kinds of stuff like that, So your city or your county puts that together depending on the locale of your property. Photos, Google Maps. Where is it on Google Maps? Executive summary, demographics. The demographics is super important, right? Is this property, is this city growing, or is it stabilized, or is it declining? Right? You just want to know that. Also, you want to know, like, who's living in there, what type of people are there, how much are they making, right? So, for instance, like, New York City, the demographics are going to be different than Fayetteville, Georgia. So like you just want to understand those different demographics, and then how much people are making, what they're going to be paying for the thing. So I just got off of a webinar, and it was like the National Self-Storage Forecast webinar or whatever. So in like New York City, there is a lot of storage in that area, and there's a lot of like storage facilities being built in that area. So you think about who can afford a storage facility in New York City, and what are they paying on a monthly basis, right? They're paying $200, $300, $400 a month for those facilities. For those units. Right, it's a different demographic that somebody's living in Fayetteville, Georgia. Fayetteville, Georgia is a suburb of Atlanta, and the national average, the national income is maybe $50,000, $60,000, maybe $70,000 at the most. They can afford a certain type of unit there versus like New York City. So that's kind of what the demographics is. And storage is based highly on demographics. Okay, so you really have to understand demographics in this industry, because really the migration patterns of people. So for instance, like U-Haul or Extra Safe Space Storage, that is what they're looking at. They're looking at where are people migrating, and then where are people, leaving to, and then like, what's the growth of that city, and then what type of people are living there. And all of that really kind of just, it's a big part of what storage, how you're going to be successful in storage. So that's why you need to be looking at the demographics, and you need to be looking at, I have the deal analyzer. This is running commercial deal analysis. So if you do not know how to run commercial deal analysis, highly recommend that you join Academy. I have the StorageNerds Academy. You could just go to StorageNerds, and join. It's $100 a month. Okay, so you can do that, and you will get access to my deal analyzer, and you will also get access to my deal analyzer course, which takes you through how to run deal analysis on a self-storage facility. Okay, because you got to learn how to be able to look at numbers and stuff, because this is very like numbers in this industry. Yeah, that's how commercial deal analysis is. And when I started like 15 years ago, like I had no idea how to do stuff like this. Okay, so if I can learn it, you can learn it as well too. And competitors, right? So looking at your competitors and looking at what they're charging, how they're marketing, what they're doing for their marketing in order to get people in the door. That's a huge thing right now. I've talked about that in a lot of other case studies in the past month, but like ultimately you need to be good at marketing. May the best marketer win. And that's why you look at your competition and see how are they marketing. Do they have like, just a sign up, or do they have a website? Are they good on Google? Are they doing Google ads, Facebook ads? Are they doing promos? What kind of discounts do they give? When you call up, what are they offering you versus on your website? It's just a huge part of Oh, so I would say demographics is a very big part of storage, and then also your marketing is a very big part of it. Those are two things like on the management side that you really need to understand. Okay. All right. And then 3, 5, 10 mile radius. So in storage, when you talk about storage, you're talking about how much storage is in a 3 mile radius or a 5 mile radius or 10. So 3 is really kind of like a city. 5 is like country. 10 is like in the middle of nowhere kind of a thing, right? And then of course, like New York City would be like within a mile or not even a mile, maybe within like a quarter of a mile, right? So your radius, this is a big kind of thing that comes up in the storage world, is what is the total square feet in your 3 mile radius or your 1 mile radius or your 5 mile radius. Because what they do is in storage, they have what's called the net capita per square foot. Net capita per square foot is your total square footage of a storage facility divided by the population of that same area. And that is what is called your net capita per square foot. And it has to be within a certain number in order for you to be successful. Okay. That I get into in the academy. I get into all the live group coaching calls and into the deal analyzer course, all my boot camp, everything that in the academy, you will learn more about how to even look at stuff like that. But ultimately, in the storage world, net capita per square foot, plus your demographics, plus your competitors, I would say 3 top things to understand in this industry. Okay. All right. And then also your numbers, looking at your own numbers and being able to manage this thing properly. This is a business. How do you increase your income and decrease your expenses? That is, when you own a property, that is what you're doing. Okay. You're trying to come up with that concept. Okay. So let's say this is the Fayetteville, Georgia location. This has about 120 doors, something like that. It's got like 60, like I said, maybe 50 or 60 storage units, and then also a lot of parking. Okay. If you want to know what it looks like, you can go to the to this page right here, and then you can click on it and ask for access right here, and you can see all the pictures and stuff. This is what it looks like. Oh yeah, another thing about Fayetteville is that this is an industrial area. It's an industrial zone, okay? And it's kind of right next to the airport. It's just south of the airport in Atlanta, okay? And it's kind of right on the border of Riverside and Fayetteville, which is kind of more of like an industrial area. And so when we bought this facility, and it had storage. And then it also had like parking. And the owner of this property was an HVAC engineer, a commercial HVAC engineer is what he was. So, you just think about that kind of a mindset. He built this facility in like 1980, and he also has 3 acres of land. And this is really, honestly, it's really important to understand the story behind your facility as well, too. The only way you're actually going to get the story is if you talk to the owner directly. And I teach you go directly to the owner and you ask them, like, why are you selling this? Like, tell me your story. And that's what happened, is that I was actually pregnant with my daughter at the time. And I found this facility, went to it, and I met the owner. And, he told me that he built this in 1980, from 1980 to like 2000. This place was doing great. And he was really just like managing it property, 20 years. I bought this property in 2015. Okay. So from 2000 to 2015, he despised this property. And so he didn't manage it very well. So when I went there, it was a disaster. And he was just like, go park, just go if you can find a spot. And then he would charge $30 for parking, $30 for a unit. And when I walked the property with him, and he told me he only made a couple $1,000s a month. And I was thinking to myself, there is no way you're only making a couple $1,000s a month at this place. You can really make a lot of money here. I was like, why are you only making a couple $1,000s? I was like, you can make so much more. And he was like, I was like, is it not full? It looks pretty full. He's like, oh yeah, it's full. It's full. It's full of crap and nobody's paying. That's what he said. And then he just was like not into it anymore. Okay. Which I totally understand, because like when you got this thing 35 years, that's a long time to have a storage facility. Right. So anyway, we walked this property, And then when I met him, he told me his story. It was that he wanted to retire in Florida, and he was ready to just like move on from this thing, right? And we connected, and so he sold me the property, and then we took a couple of years and we stabilized this property. And I'm going to tell you, it was not easy because this is my very first storage facility, you know, and this was back when like nobody even cared about storage. You know, there was nobody out there that was even interested in storage. So I didn't really have a lot of help or anything. And this was back when like there wasn't even any property management. Like there's one property management software, and it was like one of those ones where they would send you the disk and then you would put it onto your computer, you know, I can't remember what that's called. It was like hardly anything online and stuff back then. It just wasn't like what it is now. Right now, there's like even AI stuff going on. It's crazy stuff. But anyway, so that's it. So if you want access to this, you just have to you can click on, even though it's under contract, you can still get access to it if you're interested. And then you can take a look at it. And let me see. So now let me show you this here now. So you can see here, look, it made $67,000. When I bought it, it didn't even make 20 grand. Okay. And there's still a lot more room, and there's a lot more room for growth in this. You know, we just only like we stabilized it to about 80%, and then we're just like moving on to the next thing in order. So so you can see the fee income and then the insurance. So fees is like when you see fees is like late payments or like admin fee or cleaning fee or something like that. Okay, so you will make quite a bit of money in fees if you actually set it up. If you actually set your business up to make fees. If you do not set it up to make fees or to charge fees, then you're not going to make any fees. But we make a couple $1,000s a year off of just like, you know, $10 fee or $20 fee here and there for whatever it is. Okay. And this is something that like that fees and getting your fees up, this is what we talk about in the facility owner mastermind. So once you join Academy, you get to come to the live group coaching calls, and you also come to the owner mastermind if you own a facility. And then we talk about like what kind of fees you're charging. And then like I just posted out a list of all my fees to all my students, so everybody knows like what kind of fees we have. And everybody was just like, oh my God, you charge a lot of fees. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's how I make the money. So, okay. And then insurance. When you see insurance, this is tenant insurance. Okay. So the way that the storage industry works is that you will charge, like, let's say $60 for a 10 by 10. And then you also make your tenants get tenant insurance. All right. And the tenant insurance is $10 a month. Okay. So you say, look, it's going to be $70 for this unit. It's a 10 by 10. That includes your rent and your insurance, which covers your items. And then and then you move in for $70. And then that $10 is a 50-50. It's mostly a 50-50 split, you know, all kinds of different structures out there, but essentially it's a 50-50 split. So we keep $5 of it, and then $5 goes to the insurance agency. So we made almost $3,500 in 2025 off of just like, you know, $5, you know, here and there for all of our, and we make sure that our tenants have insurance. So they can either send us like proof of insurance for their items, which I would say maybe a couple people do that, or we make them have insurance. Like you cannot move into our storage unit, our storage facilities, unless you use our tenant insurance, because the tenant insurance really protects you, is what it does. And we've had many times where like maybe it's like flooded or like, you know, rain or whatever it is. And like their stuff is covered and we are not liable for it. Okay. And we actually get paid for selling it too. So it's a 50-50 split. So it works out pretty good. It's a win-win for all of us, the tenant, us, and the insurance company. Okay. And then you got the parking. You can see here, we make more money in parking at this facility than we do the rental income. Did I just click something? Yeah, I think I did. We make more money in parking than we do the rental income, because there's really like 50 like units, and then there's a lot of parking. And that parking you saw in the picture, those are like big rigs, because it's a very industrial place. So like it's like dump trucks, commercial trucks, you know, box trucks, stuff like that. Not semis, because there's not enough space for semis, but there is like a big rig. Like, and a lot of people, what they do, like they have like, for instance, like a dump truck company where they have like maybe 5 or 6, and they just they do the parking. It's $100 a month for the lane. We call those lanes. And then they just like, what happens is they come in and they just pick their truck up. We have like a little parking area where they can park, they put their car, and then they just pick their dump truck up and they go off and they do their dump truck stuff. That's what they do. And then they come back. And it works out really well. So we really cater to industrial, like vehicle parking at this facility. Okay. At this facility, that's what it is. Okay. And it's $100 per lane is what it is. Okay. And we have a lot of businesses, small businesses like tow trucks, dump trucks, like just rando, like, moving companies and stuff like that is what we do. So that's kind of where we make all the money. And we can really like get it filled up more and like charge more and stuff. But like, we've just, we're just busy with like a bazillion other things. Okay. And then you could see here's our expenses. So I'm showing you, these are typical expenses, okay? Now you see this management fee, $13,000. That's me pulling money out, is what it is, okay? That's me just pulling money out of this property. So it really doesn't apply to like, it's not really an expense except for it's me to like pay our bills for like everything that we do, right? Okay, so advertising, we spent $5,000 last year to advertise. Okay, we spent $2,000. That's the merchant fee, is like the credit card fee is what it is, right? So every time that you get charged, you get like charged for a fee. It's like 3% or whatever your income is, probably, or 2% or whatever. I can't remember what we get. And insurance, that's our insurance, okay, for the whole year. And monthly services is probably like this, the property management software, or whatever, like stuff like this. I can't remember what's in there, but like some monthly stuff, like maybe pest control or something. And then repairs and maintenance. That's like us fixing a door, fixing a latch. I know we painted the property, if we've done gravel, we've graveled it, stuff like that, kind of that goes in there. And then taxes, right? We paid our taxes, okay? So, and then utilities, yeah. So this one has like kind of lights everywhere, it lights up, and and then there's some security, and there's cameras, which is probably under monthly services as well too. Okay, so you can see here that we made $67,000 and our NOI is $29,000. Okay, and so that is how you look at it. And then our job obviously is to like decrease as many expenses as we can, become as very lean as we can, and increase the income. Okay, so we bought this, it was making less than $20,000, probably make about $15,000 a year. And then we just, over the course of the last couple of years, got it up to $67,000. We did a lot of CapEx over the last like 5 years or so. And because it was really bad, and so you don't see all the CapEx that we've done, just like, because like in the last year, there really wasn't a lot of stuff that needed to get done. But ultimately, this is what a typical P&L for a storage facility looks like. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that is the case study for today, so that you guys have an idea. Now you can come in. Remember, every single folder is going to look exactly like this. And I will continue to do case studies. I'm going to do another one tomorrow as well. And then you can just watch those and just kind of get educated. Now, these are all smaller facilities that I've been doing. I do have bigger facilities. We started out like little tiny and just kind of worked our way up. Me and my husband, we are slow and steady wins the race. We are not like go big or go home. We are like slow and steady wins the race. So all the facilities that we bought are $1 million or less. Typically, we've got a couple of bigger ones, but we're really more like, kind of smaller facility type of people. That's just how we are. There's no right or wrong way in storage. Whichever way you decide to go is great. And some people, they want to, they want big facilities. They make a lot of money. I got students that do that. And some people, they just, they're okay with like smaller facilities or whatever to get started. These are great facilities to get started on, to learn how it works and stuff, to try to figure out how to do online marketing, how to like, beat out your competitors and things like this. And then after that, you're like, I'm kind of getting this. Let me go ahead and move into a bigger facility. That's how we do it, but it's up to you. Okay, so real quick, just wanted to remind you about Storage Nerds Academy. Join it, come hang out with us. It's a really good group of people. We meet on every month with group coaching calls. And then we have my book here. Okay, the book is Find Them, Fund Them, Run Them. If you just want to go out and read it, you can. And it's also on audio. It's whatever you want, okay? And then also there's acquisitions. If you want us to find a property for you, like my team, want to hire my team to do all the dirty work, this is where you come to apply for that. I think that's it. And then here is the website to find all the facilities that we buy. Remember, AmericanSSMGT.com/for sell. Okay, so AmericanSSMGT.com/for sell. And I am going to, these are the properties I'm selling for this year. And I'm going to roll that money over into partnerships with my students, is what I'm doing. That is my goal. And then, we'll keep a couple of properties ourselves, me and my husband, but we want to partner with our students more. That's what we want to do. Okay, that is it for today. I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me, and I will see you guys at the next one. Okay, take care.